Paul Rudd has become one of Hollywood's most beloved actors over his more than 25-year career. He starred in everything from Clueless to hit comedies like Anchorman and This Is 40. Now Rudd stars opposite himself in a new Netflix series called Living with Yourself. He portrays Miles, a man who is unhappy with his life and visits a spa, hoping to turn things around. In this clip, Miles returns home to find he has been replaced by a better version of himself.
And what are you even doing here? I live here. I live here. I live here. Take it easy. Take it easy. What's happening? What's happening? That's what I'd like to know. That's what I'd like to know. That's what I'd like to know. The only thing I know is that I was upstairs with my wife. Your wife. And now I'm being attacked by someone who looks like me. In a diaper.
Paul Rudd is with us now. Paul, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Entertainment Weekly says Paul Rudd gives two of his best performances in this show.
They're both really good.
They are both really good. What's it like
nice.
playing opposite yourself?
Yeah. Oh, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm such a diva.
How do you do that?
It was
like a dance.
In a way, it is.
Yeah.
It was a challenge, and I was excited to try it.
Yeah.
And you know, normally when you're acting opposite somebody, you don't know where a scene's going to go because what you do is dependent on what the other person is doing.
Yeah.
And so this was the first time I ever got to kind of think of a scene and really construct it from the ground up.
How literally, practically, how did you do it? It's like a green screen, or you got a dummy there?
Yeah.
No, a lot of times, I mean, it's not an unfamiliar convention, but there are many ways you can do it. And I found that for me, the way that it was best, the way it worked best was to record the audio for both characters. Whatever character was driving the scene was the one that I would film first. But I wouldn't act with a double or an acting partner. I would put a little earwig in my ear. I would listen to the opposite line. So if I'm playing the new version of the character, I can hear the old version replying because there was somebody off screen hitting the cue. And then I would study that take. Once we settled on the proper master take that we would use, I'd switch over into the other guy, and I would see where I was moving and what gestures I was doing on what words, and then I would hear it when I did the reverse. And that's where it felt like choreography, because I thought, oh yeah, on that line I walked that way, so I will turn my head and walk there. And it became a little easier as it went along, but it was
I would think it could get pretty confusing at times.
Yeah, at times, but like anything, I guess you just get into the zone.
Yeah.
And we were able to do it on a fairly, in a short amount of time.
I would think it would be acting gold, though, to have this type of role that you get to play two different personalities, but while looking exactly the same. You know you got something, Paul, when you get to deliver a line that says, "Is there a reason why I'm wearing a diaper?" that was just laugh out loud funny when it appeared on the scene. And you shot that in a park. Did other people see you outside? Because it is a very, very funny scene.
Yeah, it was actually the very first week we filmed.
So funny.
Which we moved up in the schedule because the weather was going to change and a cold front happened.
There was a lot of running outside in the diaper.
It's the first scene.
Yeah, the opening of the show, I'm running through the woods in a diaper. I actually emerged from a grave wearing a diaper. And we shot it in a park, and
you were actually in a grave.
Yeah, and there are people riding their bikes past, and or they were just like, I got to get somewhere. Yeah.
So Ant-Man, I mean, that's another role people have seen you in. You're a father. Does being Ant-Man mean that you are now cooler to your children's friends?
I don't know. I mean, I think if I'm cooler, it's because I know Tom Holland. That's about it. I think that it is exciting for my kids and for their friends.
Is there a look of recognition, though, when people come over the house, like, little people, children? Are they like, wait a minute, is that your dad? He's Ant-Man?
Well, I mean, I think I've been friends with
how old are your kids?
My kids are 14 and 9, and I think that, they're friends I've known now for a while. But kids are maybe interested for about 2 seconds, and then they want to just kind of play with their friends.
Yeah. So it was playing a superhero something that you ever thought you would do?
No. Not. I mean, it just, that was, I never thought too much about it. I wanted to play lots of different parts and different genres and all kinds of characters, but that wasn't anything that I really anticipated. And so when it happened, it was a pleasant surprise.
Is it just another part, or is it, it comes with a lot of global recognition?
Absolutely. It's certainly the most visible thing that I've ever done. And it was also the first thing that I ever did that was really suitable for younger audiences.
Can I just go back to Living with Yourself? Because all this happens at the top happy spa. So just think about that for a second. Run by 2 Korean gentlemen. And when you first get there, who's walking out the door? That was a surprise.
Right, yeah. There's the whole premise of the show is I play a guy named Miles who is just not in the best.
His name was George till you changed it to Miles.
It was
by the
George,
way.
right? But until I played George, I think I played 5 different Georges.
Yeah, can I have
How did you pick Miles?
Yeah, so you,
Well, yeah, I was thinking of my fantasy football team, and I was looking at I had Jacksonville defense, and I thought Miles Jack, and so
Miles
because
is a cool
because
name.
his name is Miles Elliott, and Tim Greenberg, the writer. When we nixed George, we were trying to come up with other names, and he said, "What about Elliott?" And I think he came up with Elliott because he had Ezekiel Elliott on his
But let us plumb the depths of the Paul Rudd psychology. Did playing your best and worst self put you in touch with your best and worst self?
It makes me reevaluate how my approach to life and all of that in the way that I would, I guess, if I'm playing any character and dealing with these kinds of themes. But no, it doesn't.
There it is. The demons come out.
The demons.
Are we
yeah.
allowed to
All
say
right.
who was coming out the door, the superstar coming out the door, or is that a surprise?
I thought it
for
was already
people?
said.
Oh yeah, it's out there.
Oh, it
but,
is?
yeah.
Oh.
Didn't you just say it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, all
I
right.
said the
I
name.
know it was. I saw it. It's a great show, and we appreciate you being here, Paul.
That's
What a
tease.
tease.
It is exciting. All right.
Superstar.
Living with Yourself premieres this Friday on Netflix.